Welcome to European Railway, the DVD magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this programme, we travel to Switzerland as we focus on the southern end of Erstfeld station on the Gotthard mainline in 2012 and 2014. We have two locations from Germany featuring local hauled passenger trains, the first close to Cottbus and the second south of Heilbronn. French mainline action to the north of Mâcon, around Chagny and Tournus. We travel to the Netherlands to study trains on the line between Den Haag and Amsterdam, close to Leiden. And finally, a look at passenger and freight train action from Austria's Westbahn mainline to the east of Salzburg. We begin in Switzerland as we take a trip to Erstfeld on the northern slopes of the famous Gotthard route, linking the northern part of the country with the south and onwards into Italy. This busy location is set to change with the opening of the 57-kilometre long Gotthard Base Tunnel in 2016. We chose a number of locations, some at the south end of the station and others in the country just a few kilometres to the south. Our visit starts in the summer of 2012, as this Class 420 heads north, powering the 11:45 Locarno to Basel intercity service on Thursday the 25th of May. As this train stops at various stations on the old line, it will still run this way when the tunnel opens. Some 20 minutes later, and DB's Class 185s numbers 132 and 117 drop down into the station with a northbound mixed wagon load service. Another pair of 185s head in the opposite direction, with a trainload of scrap metal. This is Burson Mountain, rising to 3,072 metres. A Class 500 intercity unit heads south, forming train IC 677, the 1309 from Zurich to Chiasso. "11162 has been engaged in banking duties, where it assisted an earlier freight train up to the station at Guschenen, some 29 kilometres away, a height difference from where it started here at Erstfeld of 472 metres. MRCE Dispolock high locos, numbers ES64F4008 and ES64U2097, restart this southbound container train. This is the type of service that will almost certainly use the new tunnel when it opens. "11370 and 11652 roll into the station with a northbound mixed freight, which they would have probably hauled from the yard at Chiasso. Heading away in the opposite direction are Class 185s numbers 137 and 095. DB Class 185s are common on this route, with anything up to 4 pairs being seen each hour during the busiest periods, particularly in the early evenings. We now turn to the 4th of June 2014, as 2 BLS visitors await their next turn of duty. At the front is 486506 and behind is Brownie number 182. Only around 15 years ago the presence of a BLS Class 425 on this line was almost unheard of. Now the locos seem to appear on most main lines in the country with common regularity. Crossrail is an open access freight operator whose locomotives can be regularly seen on this route. When the Swiss private operator Regionalverkehr Mittelland was taken over by BLS, its small freight arm was put up for sale. Regionalverkehr Mittelland were using the Crossrail branding from 2004, and in 2006 the company was bought from BLS by Babcock and Brown. A year later, in 2007, Belgian operator DLC merged with the company and set up Crossrail AG, with subsidiaries in Belgium and Italy. Since then, the company has expanded with other transport companies buying shares. These include Hupac, LKW Valter, and Italian firm GTS. (841.027) is seen here arriving with a short Fire Extinguishing and Rescue train. This is one of a fleet of 40 locomotives which are split between the cargo and infrastructure departments. One thing to note in this view is that much of the sidings, which were in operation a couple of years before, have now had a new access road laid over them. Class 470 unit number 470003 heads north with the 1110 from Milano to Zurich. The train was running nearly 14 minutes late, which is not unusual as these services are fairly unreliable. (185, 126 and 131 follow with a mixed freight around 20 minutes later. 460-014 is in a temporary advertising livery promoting the air days around Payerne at the end of August and the beginning of September. Heading south are 11362, 169 and 366. Another fire extinguishing and rescue train approaches the station, this time with 843007 providing the power. The time is just after 3 o'clock. We now move to our first location to the south of Erstfeld, just 2 kilometres from the station platforms. Number 11302 rounds the corner whilst powering the 1409 from Zurich to Locarno. After a delay caused by the fact that the drivers couldn't get the 2 locomotives to multi-up, the train finally got underway and passes the camera at 15:30, just 3 minutes after the previous passenger train. Another sight which would have been very rare indeed not so many years ago on this route is BLS Class 465 number 015, seen heading a northbound container service. Returning south at 15:37 hours is 843007. Class 500 intercity trainset number 027 coasts into view, forming the 1412 Lugano to Zurich intercity service. In the opposite direction, shortly after passing through Erstfeld station, sister unit number 500 042 heads south, forming the 1509 from Zurich to Lugano. Services such as these are another that will benefit from the substantial journey time reductions on offer when the new tunnel opens. (11673) and 11336 head train number 40141, which runs on a Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. This line is still busy with passenger and freight trains and is very much worth a visit. We will look at further sections of this line at Wassen and Goschenen in future editions of European Railway. Finally, about a kilometre further south, close to Amidst, we capture 420-346 leading 11681 on another southbound intermodal. Number 11339 is on the rear, providing banking assistance. In this part of the programme, we travel to two areas of Germany. The first is to the north around Cottbus in 2012, before moving south to see more locomotive-operated services to the south of Heilbronn in June 2014. We begin in the northeast part of the country, just south of Cottbus, near to the town of Trebkal, before moving north to the station at Teichland. Back in 2012, most regional trains in the Cottbus area were worked by Class 143 electric locomotives. Today, many of these lines are now in the hands of new private operators, who have brought with them brand new rolling stock, consigning many of the Class 143s to the scrapyard. Number 143365 and 143809 on the rear power the 1715 Cottbus to Dresden service. In the opposite direction comes 143816 with a 1610 Falkenberg to Cottbus. On the line between Cottbus and Guben is Teigland station. Slowing for the station is 112-112 on the 0734 from Frankfurt der Oder to Cottbus. Elsewhere in Germany, it is still possible to see good numbers of locomotive-hauled regional trains at work. In this section we travel to the south of Heilbronn, where we sample trains on the route south to and from Stuttgart. This part of the Neckar Valley is often overlooked by photographers and observers alike. However, there are one or two good vantage points to be had overlooking the line, which we will see as we journey south. We begin just south of Heilbronn as 143965 pushes the 0452 Stuttgart to Würzburg north on the morning of the 2nd of June 2014. Meanwhile, heading south is 143899 at the head of the 0536 Heilbronn to Stuttgart. All of the passenger trains that we saw on this line were operated by locomotives. In the opposite direction we see MRCE High Loco number 185565. At just after 6 am, number 143645 rounds the bend at the head of the 0502 Osterburken to Stuttgart commuter service. This was followed by 143900 on the 0523 from Osterburken. Moving south now, and we are around 2 kilometres north of Laufen, as 146218 heads south with the 0653 from Heilbronn to Stuttgart. One 143899 is seen once more as it heads in a northbound direction. Slightly further south and the tracks border the river Neckar. Here 146221, one of two members of the class to wear transfers, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the RAB, or DB Zugbus Regionalwerke Alb-Bodensee, head south. Running wrong line due to an engineering possession, number 143645 heads north with the 0634 from Stuttgart to Heilbronn. One 140 heads towards the camera with a slightly delayed southbound service for Stuttgart. Seen crossing over the tracks is 146226. Powering at the rear of the 0533 from Ulm to Osterbrücken. Finally from this location, and 146217 heads and service bound for Ulm via Stuttgart. Our final location is across the river from the Neckar-Westheim nuclear power station. Built in 1976, the plant had 2 generators until one closed in 2011. Today a single generator, commissioned in 1988, remains and is rated at 1400 megawatts. The plant is dominated by the 51-metre high cooling tower. Heading away from the camera is this unidentified Class 146. The train has just emerged from the 584-metre long Kirchheimer Tunnel and approaches the station stop at Kirchheim. Our final scene is of Class 143 number 140, on the rear of the 0907 from Stuttgart to Würzburg. With a good number of loco-hauled regional passenger services still in operation, this line is well worth a visit. In our next section we travel to France, as we sample traffic at a number of locations on the main line south of Dijon and onwards towards Mâcon. The two main locations we visited are just north of Chagny on the line south of Beaune, and then to the south to a couple of vantage points around the town of Sancy-le-Grand. We begin just north of the junction town of Chagny on the morning of the 26th of June 2013. Close to a convenient overbridge and a road which runs beside the tracks. VFLI operated Class 66 number 6313 heads south at just after 7 am with a set of scrap wagons. We suspect that the Class 66 and its train were looped, or followed the non-electrified line to Montchanin, as just 3 minutes later 27145 headed south with a container train, and looked as though it had a clear road ahead. Seven minutes later, at 7:20, infrastructure liveried 75087 and 082 approached the camera, resplendent in their yellow livery. Heading north is TGV set number 67, forming the 0546 from Lyon-Perrache to Strasbourg. A rather musical Class Z27500 electric unit heads towards the camera, forming the 0650 from Dijon to Chalon-sur-Saône. More traditional motive power is on view here, as the 0715 from Chalon to Dijon passes with BB 25654, providing the power at the rear. BB 22364 is seen working a delayed 0640 from Dijon to Lyon-Pardieu. The train was running some 25 minutes late. Bimode AGC unit number 81757 forms the 0708 from Dijon, the train being destined for Tours. A service for Toulouse heads south formed by TGV Sud-Est set number 43. This is the 0709 departure from Dijon. This set was withdrawn from service on the 27th of November 2013, after entering traffic on the 7th of January 1982. Heading north is BB 22394, at the rear of the 0604 from Lyon-Perrache to Dijon. This is BB 25639. In the opposite direction, sister locomotive number BB 25688 slows with the 0721 Dijon to Chalon-sur-Saône. This is the 0740 from Dijon to Lyon, powered by Chambéry-based BB 22363. Following along behind is this pair of BB 67400 diesels on a trainload of new rails. BB 67421 leads BB 67407. There's quite a contrast between their two liveries. Bimode unit number 81560 is on diesel power as it heads away from Chalon with the 0630 from Nevers. Interestingly, the previous train was followed by sister unit number 81520, which is also a bimode unit, but this time operating with its pantograph up on the 0815 from Chalon to Dijon. French wagon load freight traffic has seen huge reductions over the past years, as it is a costly business to run. However, there are still customers who generate less than train load traffic, and by combining wagons from other flows, these customers can still be served on a regular basis. Here 27022 powers a train north. The few remaining BB 25500 electrics based at Dijon operate local stopping services to Châlons, Besançon and Belfort. 15 of them are still allocated to such duties. This is BB 25654. Finally, from this location we see 69476 powering north with a set of bogie hoppers at just before 9 o'clock. We now move 35 kilometres to the south, and we are at Sancy-le-Grand. We also travel south to a couple of convenient overbridges near to the village of Vunières. Heading towards the camera is BB 27051, on a trainload of curtain-sided and sliding door bogie wagons. Given what we saw, you can expect around 2 freight trains each hour along this line throughout the day. A pair of TGV Sud-Est trainsets head south. The second TGV is painted in the new Carmillon livery. Heading north is BB 22266, powering the 0916 from Lyon to Dijon. The maximum line speed on this route is 160 km per hour, which only drops once to 130 through the built-up area around Chalon-sur-Saône. BB 22394 has charge of the 0940 from Dijon to Lyon. These services operate at a 2-hourly frequency in each direction. We now move just to the northeast of the village of Vunières, which is around 4 kilometres south of our previous location. Rounding the curve at just before 10 to 11 is 26192. The loco is painted in the green freight livery, one of just 5 of the class still sporting these colours. TGV set number 4704 heads north. Hired to SNCF Italian subsidiary, SFI, number 36357 heads south light engine. We've seen 22363 earlier. Here it returns from Lyon at the rear of the 1016 Lyon to Dijon, a journey which will take just over 2 hours to complete. In the opposite direction comes BB 7239, powering the 0738 from Paris-Bercy to Lyon-Pardieu. TGV set numbers 246 and 229 pass the camera whilst forming the 0916 Strasbourg to Montpellier, a journey which will take 5 3/4 hours. Viewed from the next bridge to the south are numbers 75082 and 087, with a southbound ballast working. This was followed by 22326, powering the 1140 from Dijon. This is 26223. Counting freight trains, you can expect to see between 4 and 7 trains per hour along this line. Finally, BB7414, which is in pretty well its original condition since it was introduced into traffic on the 12th of September 1984, heads south, with a long rake of very clean bogie tank wagons. In this section, we take a look at the typical types of trains to be found on the line between Den Haag, Leiden and Haarlem on the main route between Amsterdam and Rotterdam. Our main focus is on locations to the north and south of the town of Leiden, which is not far from the coast. The area is covered in small lakes and countless drainage ditches and canals, which can offer some useful features for anyone visiting the area to photograph the trains. We begin just south of the town, at the small station at Voorschoten, as a 6-car Class 2600 electric multiple unit heads southwest, having just left the platforms. Intercity services are generally in the hands of the similar 6-car Class 8600 and 8700 electric units. This example is seen heading north, and is followed by a Class 2400 and Class 2600 pairing on a stopping service. Number 2801 is on an Amsterdam to Brussels intercity service. Just north of Leiden, the line begins to run adjacent to the Leidersvaart waterway, running between the main towns on the route. Seen heading north are a pair of 4-car units from the Class 9400, 9500 and 9547 family. Before you look at the next unit approaching, focus below the 4 cows on the left of the group, where a hare can be seen moving over the grass. This Class 2400 is on the 0956 from Den Haag Centraal to Haarlem local service. 2839 heads the 0946 Amsterdam to Brussels intercity service. Our location was not far from the flight path of aircraft leaving Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. We are now a few kilometres to the north and slightly northeast of the village of Noordwijkerhout, close to a section where there are 2 freight loops. Heading past the windmill is another Class 8600 6-car unit heading a service for Amsterdam. The majority of train types to be seen on this line are these double-deck units and the Class 2400 and 2600 units, with loco-hauled intercity services every hour, with the odd freight service thrown in for good measure, so traction variety isn't that great. We leave the line with one last shot of a train passing the windmill. Heading for Amsterdam is the 1051 from Dordrecht to Amsterdam Centraal. We travel south now and to Austria with a look at one of the country's most important rail routes. The Westbahn from Vienna to Salzburg is the busiest main line in Austria. In this section we look at the western part of the route, not far from Salzburg, as we stop off at a number of locations in this rural part of the country, from Frankenmarkt in the east to Idarbauer, Steindorf, Veng and finally Wallersee. We begin at Frankenmarkt on Monday the 1st of July 2013, as Class 1144 number 228 heads a short westbound freight through the station at 10 to 5 in the evening. Ten minutes later and it's the turn of 10:16:004. (1116-102) heads in the opposite direction some 7 minutes later, with an eastbound train of hoppers. Sister locomotive number 1116-105 heads the 1456 Vienna to Klagenfurt into city service. Private company Westbahn operates intercity services between Salzburg and Vienna using brand new Class 4010 Stadler electric multiple units, capable of speeds of up to 200 km per hour. A couple of kilometres west is this road overbridge, situated in the village of Svertvern. Heading east are 1016-038 and 1142-618, with a super-powered 1644 Salzburg to Linz local. Railjet service number 1168, the 1536 from Vienna to Zurich, rounds the curve with 1116-213 and 238 providing the power. This was followed just 10 minutes later by 1142-644. Westbahn's unit number 102 heads west towards Salzburg. A kilometre further west and we see railjet service number 167, the 1240 from Zurich to Vienne, with power being provided by 1116247 and 207. Just 2 minutes later, and 4024-108 heads east with the 1744 from Salzburg to Linz. These units operate local services on the line, in addition to the loco hold sets seen previously in this section. Talking of which, here we see the 1604 from Linz to Salzburg, operated by 1144097. More superpower now, this in the form of 1116128 and 157, leading the 1413 from Innsbruck to Vienne. Westbahn's unit number 101 is operating one of the hourly services between Vienne and Salzburg. We now move west once more and to the closed station at Idarbauer, as Class 1142 number 644 heads east with the 1844 service from Salzburg. Unit number 101 returns to Vienne. (116126) heads west at the head of the slightly delayed 1556 from Vienne to Innsbruck. The train is passed by 1116200, heading in the opposite direction. Motorrail services are becoming less and less common in Europe, with just a handful of services running compared to years gone by. Heading east is train IC 961, the 1404 from Bregenz to Vienne. The train conveys car carriers on the rear. 1116236 and 227 power this, the 1736 from Vienne to Bregenz. There's not so much freight traffic around during the busy tea time period, so the sight of an eastbound working at 20 to 8 was a welcome relief. 1016016 and 1116189 and 1144228 have charge of this eastbound working. (4024) heads west with a stopping service from Linz. This is Steindorf as 1016035, complete with painted buffers, heads this trainload of open box wagons west at just after 8 p.m. in the evening. The station here is also the junction for the non-electrified branch up to Braunau. Here 4 Class 5047 diesel rail cars head a northbound service. (4024-106) glides into view with the 1804 from Linz to Salzburg. (1116-240) and 219 power the 1440 railjet service from Zurich. We are now just east of Veng, as 1116273 comes into view as the last rays of the evening sun catch this, the 1756 from Vienne to Salzburg. Ten minutes later, and this westbound freight has 1016.012 as motive power. Freight traffic was now becoming much more frequent. Three minutes later and 1016.015 comes into view. You are never sure what might turn up next, but we weren't expecting this. No less than 3 Class 2016s, numbers 74, 73 and 65, head this westbound freight at exactly 9 p.m. We were up bright and early the following morning as we returned to the same location to film this, the 0712 Salzburg to Vienne, powered at the front by 1116074. This was followed 20 minutes later at 10 to 8 by 1116106 on this eastbound mixed freight. Five minutes later and we see 1116110. A German Class 101 powers at the rear of train EC390, the 0632 from Linz to Frankfurt. Rounding the curve is 1144248 on the 0743 from Salzburg to Linz. (4024-108) is seen in the opposite direction, with another all-station stopping service from Linz to Salzburg. Finally in this section we are at the small village of Beerham, as we overlook the Wallersee and onwards to the distant Austrian Tyrol. Those who follow feature films may be interested to know that this was the area where much of the countryside filming took place for the musical The Sound of Music. As this Class 1116 hauled freight disappears from view, we hope that you have enjoyed this edition of European Railway.